What's happening, everybody? JR Raymond back again, coming to you from home on Christmas night, where today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about building an arsenal. And the reason I'm doing this is because in 7 days, I leave for Vegas, or 8 days, something like that. I leave for Vegas for the RPI. So I have to make a selection of bowling balls. 9 balls I have to choose. 3 I'm shipping out, 6 I'm taking with me. I got to choose 9 balls, and I'm going to kind of go through that and what I'm looking at and why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. So we'll be back here in a minute. Stay tuned.
They say bowling is a dying sport.
A dying sport.
I disagree. I disagree.
I disagree.
I disagree.
I disagree.
BowlerX.com for the love of bowling.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see the list of bowling balls that I have that are in competition right now. And I know some of you are probably going to be like, what's going on? That's an awful lot of Storm, Roto, 900 Global stuff. And if I'm being honest, their stuff just matches up for me better. There's some brands of Brunswick stuff that look pretty good for me. But knowing what pattern I'm bowling on and knowing the volume, that it's 43 feet, 30 mils, it's going to be pretty slick. So I may still look at some solids from the Brunswick side and see what I can do there, because I don't have much of a selection as far as the solids go. So I'm looking at my solids and hybrids over here. The Nova, the Helios, Fantasy Days, Swagger, and Joker Wild. Those are the ones that I'm really paying attention to as far as my solids, my smoother, my more aggressive, earlier rolling type equipment. Excuse me. So, and then when you look at the pearls, these are the ones I've got it broken down to, and this is where it's all Storm, Roto Grip, and 900 Global. Because these are the ones that I need to be able to go left to right and get the ball to go through the pins the right way. Storm and Roto and 900 have been really the bowling balls that I've had to go to, and I've had the most success standing left, throwing right. And so being on a 43-foot pattern that has high volume on the surface out in Vegas, in the arena, which by now it's got some friction in there. The friction to the right has always been pretty good, playing straighter. We'll see what we've got there. My dilemma is going to be, do I take more than one urethane? Because a lot of the guys out there, when you see a flatter pattern, especially when there's higher volume, controlling the back end motion is important to start. So some guys will start with urethane playing in the track or just left of the track at 9, 10, 11, playing up the lane, unless there's a lot of hang. If there's a ton of hang to the right, then you're not going to see much urethane going down the lane, because the urethane's just going to hang in all the hang. So we're just going to get forced to move left, create, steep angles to create hold, but not get the ball right of probably 8, 9, 10. So 43 feet, if you use the rule of 31, technically, getting the ball around 12, that's never really the case. More than likely, you're going to still want to be able to get it from anywhere to 8, 9, 10, 11, somewhere in there is going to be the key. The dark board, the 10 board down lane is generally what you're looking for. So if you can find ball motion with a little bit of hold, a little bit of hook to the right, and honestly, if you can find it where if you miss to the right early and you can get it to still pick up, I think that's where the altered reality comes into play. So for me, my pearls that I'm looking at are the Dark Code, which is an ASIM ball, the Zen, which is symmetrical, altered reality, another big ASIM, your Spectra, which is a symmetrical pearl, the RSTX2, I think I've pretty much eliminated that one already, but that's another ASIM. And then I don't have the Wolverine yet. I was watching some reviews and stuff, and I'm like, man, other than the Zen is the only one that really gets up and pops down lane. The altered reality does a pretty good job, but it's ASIM. It's an asymmetric core that really gets started earlier and is just all around continuous and strong. So it's not that super clean ball that pops. The Spectra is the super clean ball, but it doesn't pop. It kind of comes around the corner like my Dark Code does. It's a smoother reaction, but the Dark Code is earlier. So that's why the Spectra and the Dark Code will probably match up with each other really well. You have the Zen that pops more than those all together, but it reads the middle of the lane like both of them, So when I need a little more strength down lane, I go to the Zen. When I need a little bit more control, but still early roll, I go to the dark code, and then when I need cleanliness, but I need smooth reaction, I have the Spectra. What I don't have is cleanliness with pop, cleanliness with a ball that's going to get around the corner. That would have been the RSTX2, but being asymmetric, it kind of scares me a little bit because it always did give me a little bit of over-under when I got into some volume. The Wolverine is a higher RG core with a higher differential as well. So it's got enough flare potential to where it's going to get up and go. And the few reviews that I did see, it popped. It really got going down lane. So 900 Global has been good to me. So I ordered one. I'm going to drill it up on Monday. I'll be at the shop tomorrow, but I won't be able to drill it up tomorrow because I won't be able to get it for tomorrow. I'll get it Monday. Also, the Dark Code and the Zen, I'm drilling brand new ones because mine they have a bunch of games on them. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go and take them and put them in the oven and resurface them completely, put them on the diamond pads, and just tear the cover off of it and retake it back up to where I want it. And I'm going to test them and see how the old ones do compared to the new ones now and see if we see the same type of reaction. Either way, I'm taking the new ones with me because I need the fresher covers. But that's pretty much what we've got. So my struggle now, I don't know which solids to take, and I'm not really sure. I know I'm taking the pearls. So I know I'm at least taking these 4 pearls, the Dark Code, Zen, Altered Reality, and these 5, I should say, Spectra and the Wolverine. So those 5 balls are going with me. And the reason why I'm taking 5 of my 9 as pearls is because pearls are the easiest to change the cover on. They're the best. I mean, I always need cleaner covers. I rarely need something earlier, but if I do need earlier, you can always change the surface of a pearl and make them earlier. That's not an issue. Changing the surface of solids to make them later, yes, you can make them later, but then you don't get the reaction that you're looking for. You end up basically making them bland. You make them blah. They make them really too smooth when you do that. I'm not a fan of that. So it's easier to change a pearl down than it is to take a solid up. So we're going to go in that direction. So basically what I'm debating right now is, do I take 5 pearl, 2 solids, and just 1 urethane, or do I only take 4 pearl, 2 solids, and 2 urethane? What I'd like to be able to do is take a purple hammer and the UC3. That gives me both options. But I don't really have that luxury because I'm only taking 9, and it's costing me $120 to ship 3 of them out there. So shipping rates right now are outrageous. I shouldn't be looking at cost because I'm trying to win. I probably should just ship 6 balls out there, but knowing me or knowing how things go, you're not going to use them anyway. So make your best educated guess, narrow everything down to 9 balls, so that way you make it easier to make your moves, your selections, your ball selections, your changes, all that stuff, and kind of put it on yourself to make a few hand changes while you're at it. You guys know, you've seen, I like to make small minor changes with my hand, so that makes it a little bit, gives me a little bit of an advantage there. I can turn one bowling ball into 3 or 4 based on what I do with my hand. So I have a little bit of an advantage there. Granted, pretty much everybody out there can do that just as well. But I do feel like I'm a little better than most. So my issue is, which solids do I take? I don't have a choice but to take the Nova as my ASIM. That's the only ASIM on the list. So that one's going for sure. But do I take the Helios, Fantasy Days, Swagger, or Joker Wild? I think I've pretty much X'd out the Joker Wild. I think that's too much volume for the Joker Wild. So I'm going to go with either the Fantasy Days or the Helios. The Fantasy Days over the Swagger. As of right now, I'm going to test them. My neck is a little sore. I'm going to test the Swagger and the Fantasy Days against each other tomorrow. I'm going to go practice a little bit at work and get there a little early before the shop opens and practice. So I'm going to test those 2 against each other and even against the Helios as well. If I see too much similarity between the Fantasy Days and the Helios, I'll take the Swagger. If I see too much similarity between the Fantasy Days and the Swagger, I'm probably taking the Fantasy Days just because I love the way it looks going down the lane. And the Fantasy Days, from my view, from what I've seen so far, I think is a little bit stronger than the Swagger, and I would need a stronger ball. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do here. So what do we got here? So I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those 5, and then these 3, and then 1 urethane. So do I take Purple Hammer or do I take UC3? So if I take all 3 of these, which I think it probably would benefit me to take a solid symmetrical, two solid symmetricals, and then I know y'all heard me calling the Nova a solid, and I kept calling it a solid because it reacted and looked like a solid. So to me, it's a solid. It's fitting in my solid bag area. So I'm torn. I think I'm going to go with these three and then only take one urethane. If I see too much similarity between Fantasy Days and Helios tomorrow or any of these, I'm going to drop one and I'll take a Purple Hammer and the UC3. I'll probably take the 3.5-inch pin one because it's a strong with a lot of volume again. So we'll take the strong one so that way we can make sure we have one that's going to get through the pins. And then the UC3 is just overall strong already. So that might be what I'm going to try to do, is narrow down to two. Maybe take like the Nova and the Fantasy Days because I'm not a huge fan of the orange. That might be where I go. We'll see. But as of right now, these are what's in the running for this. If the Wolverine doesn't roll right, then I'm going to drop the Wolverine and I'll take another Purple Hammer or something probably. So, or I'll take these three and then take two, drop the Wolverine and take two Purple Hammers in there. So what I'm really looking for is just a good mix of all around everything. What I know I could do with bowling balls, what I know I can create with shapes and all that stuff. Let me get back to my screen here so I can see what I'm doing. What I know I can do is make bowling balls do different things, which is really nice. So like I said, with the pearls, it's real easy to change the cover stocks, take some pads with me, bring those down when I need to, which more than likely I'm going to bring them down anyway. Certain ones you're not going to want to touch. The Zen I probably won't touch. The Zen, Dark Code, and Spectra I probably wouldn't touch, but the Altered Reality, if I need a little bit more, a little bit early, I can go with that. And then that Wolverine, if I need it to be a little bit, I don't know, it would be the Wolverine and the Spectra I wouldn't touch. The Zen I probably would touch a little bit. So that's where I would go with that. I wouldn't take any solids up at all unless I needed something ultra clean and ultra smooth. That would be the only way I would ever do something like that. So I can't say that's really an option. That's why I'm only taking a couple of solid pieces with me. So, and I know enough people out there, if I really needed to drill a ball last minute, I probably could get it done, you know, so it's not that big a deal. But what I'm really looking for is a good mixture between solids and pearls. I really don't even consider hybrids because most times a hybrid reacts like a solid anyway. The only hybrid I've ever seen that more reacts like a pearl was the Proof hybrid. It did a really good job getting down the lane for me. So I didn't really consider that a hybrid. I really considered it more of like an earlier pearl for me. I know that probably is confusing and doesn't make sense. Why don't people just say, they're probably going to say, why don't you just call it a hybrid? Most of them just don't act like that. So like the Nova doesn't act like a pearl. It's way closer to a solid. So I just call it a solid. So and it's dull, you know. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. That's what I've got going. That's what I'm looking at as far as pearls and solids go, and then mixing in some urethane for spare ball, and then the possible use if I need it on the fresh, if the back ends are super crisp and you need a ball to slow down and let you play tight angles, you start with urethane, move your way left with reactive. But you just never know. So you have to take it with you. That much volume, it's really tough to say, but that's all I got for you today. I'm going to get out of here. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, comment below. Which one of these bowling balls, if you had to pick 9 balls, which ones of these would you take with you? And which ones would you leave behind? Or if you wanted to add a ball from a different company, which would you bring? You know, is there a Brunswick ball that you think I should take a look at? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll take a look at it and we'll try to make a decision. But that's all I got. And until next time, I'm out of here. We'll see you guys later.
They say bowling is a dying sport.
A dying sport.
I disagree. I disagree.
I disagree.
I disagree.
I disagree.
BowlerX.com for the love of bowling.